everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to take a look back at the tense thriller The River Wild. Released on September the 30th, 1994, it stars Meryl Streep, Kevin Bacon, David Strathburn and John C. Reilly, and it was directed by Curtis Hanson. Now the story of The River Wild follows a married couple in Gail and Tom Hartman, who go through certain issues as Tom spends more time at his work as an architect rather than with the family. Now Gail plans a family trip of rafting down the Salmon River in Idaho. After initially refusing to come along, Tom eventually joins them at the last minute alongside their young son named Roarke. Now the trip starts off fine, but things change suddenly when they encounter three other rafters named Wade, Terry and Frank. Their young son Roarke starts to develop a friendship with Wade, and the family meet up with them later on after their guide Frank has abandoned them following an argument, and they need a guide to help them down the rest of the river. Now Gail offers to help them and they join the family along the journey. But slowly they start to suspect the actions of Wade and are growingly concerned about his closeness with their son, so they eventually attempt to get away from him, but they eventually get found out and are captured. And what soon follows is a nightmarish experience as Gail and her family do whatever they can to break free, as they also face the daunting task of travelling down the river and a dangerous gauntlet. Now when looking back at The River Wild, it really is a solid, finely crafted piece of movie making. It's a real harkening back to the old school style of using real locations and environments, free of green screen and CGI that we see far too often in today's movies. And you can see how good the results are on the screen, as through Curtis Hanson's skillful direction, so much tension and suspense is generated, with the action sequences so clear and well shot. Again, a master lesson to modern movies, avoiding all of the close-up shots and shaky cams that we see again far too often. We really get a whole assortment of wide-spanning and overhead shots of the landscapes and the river, and it's almost as if director Hanson at times makes the river like its own character, like it's the second narrative of the story. The first narrative being Gail and her family fighting for their survival, and then the second one being the overall group fighting for their lives in general against the river. And using all of the great scenery on screen here, it gives so many vibes of other classic movies such as Deliverance and also Sylvester Stallone's Cliffhanger. Now The River Wild also shows that you can be gripping and suspenseful without being graphically violent. Yes, we do get a few fist fights here or there, but the action for the most part is largely bloodless. Once more giving an example of how effective action filmmaking is more about the setup and the execution of the sequence, rather than just hovering over the intense violence and creating violent scenes just for shock value. Now in terms of the performances, all of the actors here are great. For so long a revered actress for her romantic and dramatic roles, this was the first action type of role for Meryl Streep, and she looks in such great shape here, completely convincing that she can physically manipulate and drive the raft into the gauntlet on her own. Again, another good example of having a strong female character that feels natural and not forced by agenda. Kevin Bacon's villainous performance as Wade is also very key here, and again generating a lot of the suspense. You can clearly see that this is somebody who is not quite there, a bit mentally unstable, and again that generates a lot of the tension, especially with the scenes between Wade and Roarke. And his character is way more compelling than John C. Ginley's wimpy partner Terry, who really doesn't have a lot of presence throughout the film. David Strathburn also has a good presence here, as we see later on throughout the story how Tom is broken away from the family, and he himself is very much involved in trying to communicate them through various ways as he strives to reconnect with them and rescue them from the capture. We also have to mention the musical score from the great composer Jerry Goldsmith, so good once more in creating the tone and atmosphere, once more so key here in contributing to the movie's overall cinematography and scenery. Truly great stuff. The only real flaw that I could label at the movie is perhaps it's around 15 to 20 minutes too long. We have the earlier scenes of the family hinting at their marriage struggles, but to be honest, we don't really need that. The heart of the film is of course the struggle against Wade and his gang and also the river. So to be honest, we really could have just started the movie straight away on the rafting trip and just kicked on through there. Now I understand they wanted to introduce the family's life to build character, but it perhaps can make the beginning of the movie a bit slow. So we then go on to the movie's overall release, and it managed to gross over $94.2 million from a $45 million gross. So whilst not being a massive blockbuster, it did manage to make its money back. and it did gain a lot of good critical reception for both the performances and the amazing cinematography and visuals. But post its release, The Riverworld is really an underrated and forgotten movie within the mainstream event films of the 1990s, and I think that's a shame because again, it's really an example to so many modern movies in how to stage clear and coherent, visually dynamic and exciting action sequences shot on actual and real locations. And yes, the premise and the story is simple, but it knows what it wants to be and executes it very well, and it doesn't try to overcomplicate things with mindless B plots or side stories that are irrelevant to the story. So a real fun piece of work here. In The Riverworld, it's a film that I remember seeing vividly back in the 1990s, and rewatching it again recently, it still holds up, I think, again, as a real example of a masterclass in suspense and tension that definitely deserves more attention and more recognition many years after its overall release. So there's my overall thoughts and feelings and look back at The Riverworld from 1994. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any other movies, television series or any other topics within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, also let me know within the comments and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves and I will see you very, very soon.